I am channeling my inner Trent 7. I have found my center. I have found the Zen. Hi. Welcome to the ASMR. I'm just kidding. Yes. I can't do that because I don't have any facial hair. I'm going to get me a fake mustache. Just for that little bit. But hi, all you Bi-Conics wrestling nerds out there. And welcome to another fantastic episode of the Takedown Troop Review, your weekly TNA wrestling review team. I am El Jefe Mikey. Around these parts, I run the show, or I think I do half the time. Honestly, it is a team effort. I can't do this without the Bi-Conics boys. It's fantastic. But joining me tonight, we have the full squad reunited once again for TNA. I'm super excited. First and foremost, I just saw him like not even less than a couple hours ago. You can check this man out doing Ring of Honor as well as the NXT reviews with myself and Will. But Mr. A to Z himself, all the way from Parts Unknown, if you will. Andrew, hi. We're trying keeping things short because we got a lot to cover this episode. And then, of course, joining us back from a very busy schedule, he finally found the time to come back and be like, you know what? Professional wrestling is great. You can find him not only here on TNA, but he is our third and other co-host that helps us do the NXT reviews. Papa Oso himself, Will. Welcome back to TNA. We have missed you. You're muted, by the way.
I know you didn't want to hear what I had to say, so
no.
I'm just kidding.
I know.
Just kidding. I was like, hey everybody, I'm back. Woo!
He was self-censoring himself.
He was self-censoring himself.
Mm-hmm.
Something that we don't do very well here. I'm just kidding. We show so much restraint in all the other shows because our editors get mad at us when we curse. But I'm not one of those editors because I keep the cursing in. But all right, so we got a lot to cover. So this is how this review is going to work for all my Bi-Conics watchers out there. We're first going to cover Explosion, then we're going to go into the actual TNA episode itself. Will got caught off guard with this. Don't worry about it.
There'll be next week.
TNA Explosion is a weird thing because it releases on the TNA Plus app on Fridays and then on YouTube on Tuesdays, which is really, really weird scheduling wise. But before we get into all that, as Will looks up what happened on TNA Explosion this week. Sorry, I didn't mean to call you out like that. Love you. I'll do a little bit of housekeeping. Thank you so much for watching this episode. You can check us out and everything else we got going on here at the BC WrestlePod YouTube channel. We got a lot of things going on. You can find us all over the social medias at BC WrestlePod, but you can also look us up on the Next Level app. We are proud to be a sponsored ambassador / business partner / X, Y, and Z Phil here. The boys at Next Level have been really great having a conversation with them. They are fantastic. And I appreciate them inviting us to be sponsors and ambassadors for them, which is fantastic. You can check out that link in our bios all over the social medias and congregate with some of your favorite wrestling creators. It's a fun time. And then, of course, if you cannot commit to watching our lovely faces, you can take us on the go because we have audio versions of our podcast for all the TV shows and the pay-per-views. It's a fantastic time. And of course, if you want to say hi to us in real life, the BC WrestlePod boys are going to be hosting a table at the New Jersey WrestleCon on Saturday, May 18th and Sunday, May 19th. Come say hey. We're going to be selling some really fun merch. We got some cool stuff planned. We may or may not be having a fiesta within our booth if the convention hall will let us do what we want to do, which is just blast music the whole entire time. We shall see what happens. I'm bringing the glow sticks. It's gonna be party. My inner rave kid is about to come out. It's gonna be so much fun. But now that we got housekeeping out the way, let's talk about why we're really here. Oleg Prudius, I'm just kidding. We will talk about him when we get to it. I was just like, I don't know how I felt about this, but first, let's talk about TNA Explosion. So this week on TNA Explosion, I would like to break this up into, well, we're really going to talk about the 2 matches, but there were 4 parts to this. So Explosion opens up this week where we see GYV, Grizzled Young Vets, taking on Braxton Hunter and Richard Adonis. Andrew, as our tag team resident expert, what have you dubbed our jobber tag team? What is their name?
Oh my goodness! I tried to come up with a name for these 2, and honestly, I got distracted by GYV beating the crap out of these 2 guys. That I honestly could not come up with something for these guys. Yeah, they're. I will say, I'm very happy that even if they're jobbers, bringing in some fresh blood into the TNA tag team divisions, and we get a little bit later, made me very happy. Also, the fact that GYV actually was on Explosion. We've seen a digital media title on there. We've seen Joe Hendry on there. We've seen quite a few people pop up on there. So I like what Explosion is getting. That makes me very happy.
Sorry. I'm watching bits and pieces of it right now. And the 2 guys that the GYV is fighting, I'm like, they're dead men walking the minute they come out. I was just like, oh god.
You're muted, Mikey.
Literally, we're going to call them the Job Squad because they are just jobbing out to GYV. And anytime we see dead men walking, or dead women walking for that matter sometimes, they will be known as the Job Squad. So GYV beat the local Job Squad.
We'll call them the Green Mile.
The Green... I mean, I'm not against it. Andrew, I love having you here.
I do have to say, I really love that GYV uses the Doomsday device as their setup for their finisher.
Right?
Shit.
Because the Doomsday device is probably it's like the most classic tag team finisher. You know, it's the most recognizable and it's been around the longest. And the fact that that's their setup for the Grit Your Teeth, it's super cool. I like that.
Oh.
I love how we're talking about it and Will is giving us reactions to it.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, unlike some of the digital exclusives for other companies, Explosions is actually kind of where it's at, honestly. Because they utilize their whole roster for both the main show and Explosion. Like Andrew said before, Joe Hendry, GYV. We had Jake something on here a couple weeks ago. And his match against Shira? Well, yeah, it was Shira, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
That match was so good. I was so surprised. I was like, that match was fire. But GYV pick up the victory here. Then we get into like the downtime before our next match, because then we get a recap of Ali defeating Sabin at Sacrifice for the X Division Championship. Then we get a little around the ring special. This week is Giselle Shaw, which was very nice to see. Speaking about her previous job as a flight attendant, which I did not know about that for Giselle, which is I love that TNA is not afraid to get into kind of like the personal stuff for their rosters. Like, hey, we're characters, but we're actually people too. I love them so much. And then we get our From the Vault segment that shows AJ versus Rob Van Dam at Sacrifice 2010, which then leads us into our second and last match of this week's Explosion. Trent Seven versus Trey Miguel. This was fun.
I love that Matthew Rehwalt was like, what kind of grown man brings a towel around, like carries a towel around with them? And then the response was, what kind of man beats up a towel? Trey Miguel's doing like elbow drops to the towel on the outside and stomping it.
Funny. I love this version of Trey. This is like really fun to watch him just be this way.
And I didn't realize it that Seven and Bailey have been tagging since 2019. Like, not consistently, but
Right? I was just like, that was a fun fact I did not know about. And I was like, okay, now I can get behind them even more. Knowing that they have been tagging for so long. Like, not long, but even still.
Yeah. I mean, that's
which makes me happy.
5 years
like,
now.
well,
That's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
I did also like that Bailey did a really good job of kind of either like when at the beginning when Wentz grabbed Seven's leg, Bailey then grabbed Miguel's leg from the outside the ring to just kind of like, he's like, hey, we can both play this game. And then when Wentz started to get involved, Bailey laid him out with a super kick. So I always hate when like the face tag team doesn't like do anything about the outside shenanigans of the heel team, you know?
Yeah, but, and you know, it's something that we brought up not just here in TNA, but a bunch of the other companies too, is that, and actually I'm going to quote Will on this when it comes to specific tag teams in TNA. You know what you're getting into. Like, if you know your opponents are going to pull out the dirty tricks, it makes sense, and it's better storytelling for the opponents to be like, I know what you are about. I did my homework. You're not going to catch me off guard with your shenanigans.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's nice to see that Speedball Mountain is finally starting to pick up on that. I was like, it took you guys 2 matches to get there, but we finally got there. But I thought this was a fun match. Tread 7 pulls out the victory with the... I'm going to try to pronounce this because I wrote it in my notes correctly because I always get this finisher's name wrong. The Burning Hammer? Yeah, the Burning Hammer, I think. Burning Hammer? Yeah.
Burning Hammer.
Gosh dang it.
Like a hammer that's on fire.
Wow.
All right. I got close.
Yeah, the Burning Hammer. It's one of his many.
Wow.
Will just finished the GYP match.
Actually, both of them. Oh my god.
Telling you, Explosion is actually really good, and I feel like I feel privileged that we get to talk about it now on TNA because it is great. It's like every week is about 30, 35, 40 minutes of just like quick things, have some fun with it, not too serious. And sometimes Explosions has some really good matches. It's like, here's what didn't make the main show, but still worth your time.
Yeah. And there's sometimes
So
I'm
fair.
surprised that those matches were on Explosion and instead of other matches
Not
that are on the main show. But
You're just like, what happened?
it's kind of nice because it brings people over to Explosion to see the things like the you know, beyond the ring segments and some of the like out of the vault segments and kind of things like that too. So
Why didn't I know about this?
To be fair, we just recently started covering Explosion, and both you and Andrew have been kind of on and off because you've been booked and blessed, as I like to call it. Or I'm just sitting here, just.
Oh my god, that was like amazing. That was like good.
Yeah.
I'm
The
telling
last
you,
few weeks have
Explosion.
been really good.
Like, I mean,
Yeah.
those are like, those should have been like main card fights.
That's what we're saying.
Holy crap.
Sometimes the matches on Explosion, we're just like, why was this not on the main show?
Oh my god, that GYV fight. Holy crap. They decimated those guys.
Well, and last week it was Jody Threat versus Killer Kelly, and
That match went balls to the wall too. That match was nuts.
And Rhino challenged Crazy Steve for the title.
We got Crazy Steve stapled a staple gun into Rhino's head, and I was like, best match of the year. Don't care. Just kidding. I have a weird propensity for violence. But yes, so starting next week, Will, you also have Explosion to watch, which is actually pretty decent. So good. All right, now that we're done with Explosion for this week, let's get into the main show because there is a lot to talk about, especially since now we are starting the build towards Rebellion. So we're tying up some loose ends that are still lingering from Sacrifice, and now we are building towards Rebellion. And we opened up with a championship match because this is happening because Chris Sabin has invoked his rematch clause as the previous X Division champion. And this is Chris Sabin challenging Mustafa Ali for the TNA X Division championship. And this was such a fun match to open
It
up.
was a good opener. I mean,
Yeah.
we all knew how it was going, but it was good.
Yeah, I was surprised they opened with this match, but it was really, really good. Definitely one of my top matches of the night.
Yeah,
Oh,
absolutely.
absolutely.
Oh my god, yeah.
From the get-go, like what I really liked about this match is, again, what we briefly discussed while we were talking about Explosion 2, is that the challengers are now starting to pick up on, I know your game, so let's try to figure this out, because Chris Sabin, first thing he does as Mustafa Ali's not paying attention as he's walking around the ring, he takes out the bodyguards. And he's just like, all right, now it's just one-on-one. Let's do this.
Yeah.
Chris Sabin was no mercy in it. He like went to hard mode and he's just like, I am not playing games around here. And we know Chris Sabin can be vicious. I was like, oh, he's out for revenge and I'm kind of here for it.
Oh yeah. You could tell he was coming from a whole different place. Because even when he first entered, even you knew he was coming for blood.
I will say, I know that he's supposed to be the heel, but I can't help but root for Ali, and I think it's partially because I know where he's coming from as a person, as the performer himself, and like getting to see him hit these levels is so awesome. But also he plays his character so well in TNA, and what he's like started doing outside of, once he left WWE, it's just so good. And I just can't help but like want to see him succeed. So
yeah, me too.
Oh, absolutely. And me and Will can attest to this too, because we brought this up multiple occasions and we're going to continue to do so. We were robbed of this version of Mustafa Ali because that's what we were slowly getting in NXT. And I was super excited when it was going to be him, getting the chance to take the North American Championship. And then we get the news report. Oh, yeah, he got let go. I'm like, what? I was so upset. I was like, where was the... But in a weird way, I'm kind of glad that happened because now we get to see him here in TNA work with some really amazing folks. And I agree with you, Andrew. I think he's supposed to be the heel. But given all the real world circumstances and the journey that Ali has had to this point is just... I was like, any other person would have given up after getting to the dream company that you wanted to be a part of, doing some fun, really things in the cruiserweight division of 205 Live, then being given really horrible gimmick after gimmick, then you go to NXT, build yourself up, like get interested, and then all of a sudden get dropped from the company. Like, I would want to quit, be like, I don't think this is cut out for me, but no. He waited the 90-day no complete cause, and as soon as that was up, he immediately booked himself for a world tour across the world, across different promotions. And based on what we saw here, it seems that Ali is going to be sticking around at least until Rebellion now, which makes me happy. So this is going beyond the initial 6 dates that he was signed for, which is super fantastic. I would not hate if he wanted to decide to be a mainstay, or at least stay for like the rest of the year at least.
I really want to see him versus Jake something for that X Division title.
Mm-hmm.
I honestly think that is the Rebellion match we're getting for that title, because the Rebellion and Hard to Kill and the rest of the tentpole pay-per-views usually have all the titles on the line. And given that Jake a couple weeks ago, leading into No Surrender, he was looking at Ali and Sabin, and he didn't care who came out of it because he's going to challenge whoever it is. So now that we're kind of done with Sabin and Ali for a little bit, now I hope we can start to do Ali and something, because I'm really excited for that match. Also, shout out to Jake Something and Steve-O Mike Bailey. They are also tag team champs on the independent scenes now, which is crazy. Mike Bailey's just a stud. Also, I love Jake Something's cheeky Instagram post. Get you a tag team partner the way that Mike Bailey looks at Jake Something.
Yeah, they're a fun tag team.
So good. But this was a fantastic match. Sabin went into the darkest recesses of his character. He even went so far as to attempt, even though he failed, but to hit Ali with the title too. Did a whole charge up and everything. But that was his undoing, because as soon as he missed, Ali grabbed the advantage, rolled him up, and put the feet on the ropes for the win. And just that shot of Chris Sabin lovingly and heartbreakingly looking at his former X Division title in the ring. Just that camera shot of the ref coming over to take it from him to give it back to Ali was just pure perfection.
It was.
Yeah.
I was like, good job, TNA. I love the camera work.
Yeah, I'm interested to see where they're going to go with Sabin after this, because clearly there's going to be some dissent amongst him and his friends. So I wonder what part this is going to play in that, or maybe if we might get something, Shelley's had reasons to kind of go off the dark side, go to the dark side. Is this going to push Sabin that way? Like, are they going to become jaded because they've lost their titles and things like that?
I would actually kind of like for this very hot topic version of Motor City Machine Guns.
I would love to see the Motor City Machine Guns turn heel and be like a cool. I think they would be the baddest ass heel group, because they've already got that kind of Detroit, and if they really leaned into that idea of how dangerous that area is, and like really kind of became this, oh man, I'd be here for it. I mean, we can already see them kind of going that way anyway, but man, if they like full turned, it'd be great. I think it'd be great.
This was a fantastic opener, and we'll talk about them because we're not done quite yet with Sabin and the rest of the crew as well, because we get to see them later, which has me super excited anyways. So from here, we get a backstage segment. As cheesy as it was, we got Nick Nemeth and Speedball Mountain back with Gia. This was like the corniest Karate Kid movie moment I have ever seen in my life, but this is fantastic. I'm also really happy to see Nick Nemeth kind of be able to just be him and not have to worry about anything else, and just be super corny and cheesy. I love it so much. And in a weird way, he fits so well with Speedball Mountain.
They're a motley crew. Like, none of them have a gimmick that really goes together. You've got the classic like British strong style wrestler. You've got the heavily martial arts influenced aerial striker. And then you've got this kind of rock and roll Shawn Michaels, Billy Gunn kind of, American style wrestler. But they're so committed to what they do that they could be so much fun together. And I'm intrigued by it, because I feel like groups like this, when you put them together like this, you can find some really good magic. And they're such good performers, all three of them. So I'm excited for it. I'm interested to see what they're going to do, if this is going to be a temporary thing, or if these three are just going to have so much fun that it's just going to stay around.
They just let them go for a while.
Yeah.
I would love it either way, because I think these three are magic. I love it. So then, from here, we go to an in-ring promo from the walking weapon himself, Josh Alexander. The first thing I will say, I was just like, I feel naked. You're not wearing your headgear. I don't know how to feel about this. I'm like, and me being stupid, because I watched it and I saw like the bandage / taped up ear. I'm like, does Josh Alexander wearing a hearing aid? Did I not know something about?
It was
and
his
then
mouthpiece.
Yeah,
it was his mouthpiece.
Yeah, I was just like, oh, okay. And then I took a part. I was like, wow, I feel stupid.
I was like, ew.
I was just like, yeah, I was like, not necessarily sanitary, but
it's
this
a common
promo
practice.
Yeah. So this promo consisted of Josh Alexander talking and recapping of the fact that he had to give up the title due to injury, and he's back and he's had great matches. Then he turns his attention to Hammerstone telling him that I welcomed you with the red carpet. We put on a banger match at Hard to Kill, which impressed enough people that you got signed full time. And then you became a turd and did what you did at Sacrifice. And he's like, I'm not telling you. He's like, I'm not asking you. I'm telling you, and I'm demanding it. Get your butt out here because I'm about to dog walk you up and down this ring. And who should answer the call but Dirty Dango, Oleg Prudius, and Alpha Bravo. Alpha Bravo is on the mic. He is talking about it, trying to hype out Dirty Dango. Josh is like, where is he then? I'm in this ring. He is not. I was like, he's kind of a wuss right now. Then we try to get the blind side, and Josh Alexander's just like yeets Dirty Dango out the ring. And then Oleg Prudius gets in. They fight. Everyone tries to disperse. My favorite director of authority figure, Santino, comes out. I swear, TNA, there's an opportunity for you to sell on your merch store a Santino replica of his deputy's badge, which would be fantastic. But Santino basically asked the crowd if they want to see people fight. The crowd obviously says yes, which then leads into our next match, even though it was a quick one. Josh Alexander versus Oleg Prudius for some reason. This is essentially a squash match. Josh wins. Cool.
My favorite part of this was Santino. I summon a referee. Was just he's so ridiculous, but so good. And yeah, I think what we're gonna get with this is we're gonna get, like we saw with a few other pay-per-views, of Josh is gonna have to deal with stuff to keep him busy till he and Hammerstone square off.
I hope that rubber match happens at Rebellion.
Yeah.
If not, I can wait a little bit longer, but we don't want to wait too long.
No,
but Rebellion, I think, would be a perfect place to have this rubber match. Super excited for Josh to get his headpiece back, because I mean this in all love, and I know Josh Alexander can probably whoop me up, but without his headgear, I was like, it feels so naked. Josh, I love you, but you look like the incredible edible egg, bro. Like, what is happening?
Also, I think it's hilarious that he's like, I need to get my headgear back. Like, he doesn't have more, or couldn't just get another one. Like, it's like,
I know. I was just like, you have so many, bro. Like, calm down. But I'm excited. Yeah, it's the story. Hopefully, we're done with Dango's squad and Josh Alexander for a little bit, because now that we tied that up, and now hopefully Josh is focusing on hammers. Over the next couple weeks, I hope to see Josh go to a weirder, darker place and just start to be more heelish and destroy people, which would be fantastic, which would be nice to see. Then we get my favorite presentation in terms of TNA. Crazy Steve comes out, and we were talking a bit about this before we started recording, and the three of us were talking about. So I want to talk about the promo first, and then I'm going to talk about what I was really paying attention to this whole entire time. So Crazy Steve comes out. Everyone is cheering for him, and then he starts speaking, and then he immediately gets people to boo for him. I was like, yes, this is fantastic. I was like, this is how you still be lovable, but also be a heel, which you're supposed to. He basically talks about how he is better than the former champions because it is art. Every time he steps into the ring, he has beaten Tommy Dreamer, he has beaten Rhino, and now he has beaten Joe Hendry. And so and I love what Crazy Steve said, because it's true. It's like, there is no other human force that can beat me. And then cue the lightning and PCO appears. And so we are teasing. They have a stare down. Crazy Steve backs off into the tunnel. And I was just like, I can hear Andrew in my head is just like, he's like, well, Mikey's about to get his Monsters Ball match. Damn right, I'm about to.
Yeah.
If not a Monsters Ball match, we are getting a match probably at No, sooner, because we're getting this next week, but I'm pretty sure Schmaz is happening. So we're going to get a rematch at Rebellion. Whether it will be a Monsters Ball or not, who knows? But PCO versus Crazy Steve is something I'm super excited for. Gentlemen, what do we think?
Can I say that PCO and Crazy Steve are like two of my favorite wrestlers right now? only because not only because one, they're really good at what they do, but I just love this sort of theatrical.
Mhm.
I just love this. This is what, to me, this is what wrestling is. It's this showmanship, and it's so. And I love how PCO. I love how committed he is. Actually, both of them, he and Crazy Steve both, how they are so committed to these two characters. And I mean, I freaking love them. So any chance and any time either of these wrestlers are on my TV, I'm like, hell yes, something crazy is about to happen. And it literally is. And it was like the when he was out there jibber jabbing, and I was like, oh, I love Crazy Steve. He's so great. And then the lights go out and the lightning, and I was like, oh yes. And then they were both on stage together. Talk about like a wet dream. It was just like two of my favorite. I mean, truly two of my favorite wrestlers like facing off, and I'm like, yes, this is like the kismet. This is like the most beautiful moment.
To be a little crass here, Will's theater boner was like present.
Yeah.
I feel like, and I'm not making this comparison to say that they are like these people or the feud that they had, because I don't want people to like get defensive about it or anything like this, but
how dare you? No,
it reminds me of like when Undertaker was feuding with Mankind. Like, those were two people who felt like they were those characters 24/7. So you never got this break of like, it's the performer and the character. Like, PCO just feels like, I mean, he's almost like a method actor. He goes out there and he is that character. And how, like, the fact that he's still doing what he's been doing at his age with the career that he's had is crazy. So yeah, I'm down for that, and look forward to the match that they have and any other matches that they're gonna have.
Yes.
I'm really excited, and we're getting this Digital Media Championship match next week. And normally I don't like schmoz finishes, but I hope a schmoz happens, which gives us a rematch for Rebellion. Then we get into a pretty fantastic match too. Frankie Kazarian versus Ace Austin. Look, I have been saying this from the rooftops. I know we talk a lot about Chris Bay and ABC being a star. I love Ace Austin, but this is the match I was like, all right, Ace, you haven't lost a step, man. Like, this is why TNA has signed you, my boy, because this match was really good. Ace Austin showed out. Frankie Kazarian also showed out.
Yeah.
This was a phenomenal match. I really enjoyed this one.
Oh, I did too.
I disagree a little. It was a good match. It was a very good match, but it was a little longer than it needed to be. And like, as educators, the example that I can give is, I asked for 5 pages. 7 pages isn't going to get you extra credit. Like, it just there were moments when I was like, you could have ended the match, had the same results, and it would have been just, it would have been just fine. And at a certain point, it just felt like it was too drawn out.
I get that.
Other than that, I mean, I'm hoping that we continue to see Frankie build more on this, like, delusional king of TNA. Both of ABC, just like both the Rascals, like, they're all phenomenal wrestlers.
Yeah. And I don't disagree with you on the length of it. I absolutely agree with it. I think for me, though, it's more like, we knew the outcome of this. We knew what it was going to be. But I think that, it just felt like it just went, like, just a little bit too far. I was like, okay, I think we've established. I think they could have cut it by a third, because they established pretty well early on, that these are both very talented individuals. They're not, one's not weaker than the other. Is that sort of thing. We got a lot of that. It could have gone either way. And then it was just sort of like, okay, we get it. We okay. It's like, It's one of those. It's like, oh, there's the oh no, we're going to keep going. Okay. Oh, there's a oh no, we're going to keep going. That's how it did kind of have that feel to it. I agree with you on that. And again, I thought it was a great match though, because I thought, again, like I said, both of these men came out and were just showing us what they had. I don't think anybody was holding back. I thought it was very evenly matched. So, yeah, but I
did like Frankie beating up Ace Austin on the outside while like taunting. You know, like he was just like, "Come on, attack me, go ahead. What are you gonna do? You gonna beat me up? Go for it." And then he's just like, "Oh, you don't like that? I'm gonna do it again. I'm gonna punch your friend in the face. I'm gonna kick him down. You know, do all these kind of things." So, I think I wouldn't be surprised if we get a Bay versus Kazarian match next week, where it's like, oh, you beat up one member of the tag team, now you face the other one. And I did like that Eric Young came down for the save, because it's like, even if they're not going to continue to work together, it's like showing Eric Young's like respect, like you had my back, I got your back, we got a common enemy kind of thing.
Agreed.
Yeah, I'm very happy that this is the direction we're going with Frankie, because we talked about it before when he gave us that promo, and it did not help the situation. And everything after that has been fantastic. It was like, yeah, all the work afterward has definitely made up for that really lackluster promo that he gave when he came out in the scarf and everything. It was a choice, but it was great. It was fantastic. So then we get a quick like vignette segment with the system, and we get one of my favorite things in wrestling, the intangibles with the scrolling bar of all the accomplishments underneath. And I'm like, I had to slow it down. I was like, I forget how many places Eddie Edwards has been in wrestling, because between the three of them, he has held multiple championships and multiple ones. And I totally forgot at one point he was also Ring of Honor champ too. I was like, holy crap. I was like, I thought this was great because it sets up the system to, of course, be like the cocky heels, but they actually have the pedigree to back it up. Yeah. Obviously, Moose has less wrestling experience than the other three, but you couldn't guess it based on what we've seen him do so far, which is super fantastic. But looking at the accomplishments of Myers and Eddie, like, I was like, they're 20 years in the business. Holy
You know, I'm really impressed with Myers. I didn't know much about him until recently. Like I've not seen him do much, except for when he was like tag teaming with Moose. But I've never seen him I've never seen him sort of individually. But when he and Edwards, when they fight, like as a team, I've really gotten to see him like do his thing, and he's really good.
Yeah, Edwards and Myers have both been in different tag teams and tagged with quite a few other wrestlers, so I think they're really good. And they've been around long enough. So I think they just work really well together.
Oh, yeah, they're fantastic.
I liked that in the beginning. It was funny, it was like Moose almost caught himself. He started out and he was like talking about the system and saying how like no one has done as much in wrestling as like the four of them combined. And he said the four of them because he included Alicia Edwards. And while she obviously has less accolades than some of the other ones do, because she hasn't won as many world titles and things like that, he still included her as like part of the system, which I would like to see her actually be more wrestle. And I don't know if maybe she's just stepped away from that because that's not what she's going for anymore. Because I mean, it's not like we don't know that this business is hard on the body. Right. But if she's still going to wrestle, I'd like to see her be kind of the knockouts face of the system. Because I'm interested in her character as part of the system, and so I'm happy that they're including her in that.
Yeah, and it's funny because when we were watching, the main event, I was thinking that very same thing. I was like, huh. And I was thinking, why, they need another faction that has a woman wrestler. That, because I think she needs somebody to to have as an opposite. Because right now she's just sort of on her own. She's doing all this, that, and I love how she's involved and not just, okay, hon, thanks. And, she walks away. No, she's like, involved. And I love that. And I just think maybe that, I don't know, maybe this whole, the ones that are fighting, Speedball and all them, maybe they'll get a lady on and they'll become a new faction and they'll fight the system.
Or hell, bring back Savannah Evans and team her with Alicia Edwards. Have her bring on Savannah as like her muscle, and then have them go after the Knockouts tag team title.
We have our fourth Knockouts tag team, which is
that would be great.
Yes,
that would be great.
Give me more Savannah Evans.
Absolutely.
I love this segment. I thought it was great, and we're continuing to build up the system, which is fantastic. We cut backstage where we see all the Time Machine. Chris Sabin is just looking like he is the saddest boy in the world, as he has the towel and he's icing himself up. Gia's Gia is one of my favorite people. She's like, look, guys, we know it hasn't been a great time for y'all, but tell us how you really feel. I was like, you go, Gia. I love you. And before they can answer, GYV comes in to interrupt, and I was like, hell yeah, we are. Listen, GYV versus any iteration of the Time Machine boys is going to be great. So GYV talks their game. Alex Shelley gets he's like, you know what? I'm done with this. It's like, you want a match, boys? You can fight these two. As he walks off, he's like, you can fight Time Machine. And Alex Shelley walks off. GYV is like, all right, bet. And Kushida and Chris Sabin are left looking at each other like, what is happening? They're like utterly confused.
I kind of wouldn't hate that in that match if it's Kushida that like takes the pin or causes the loss or whatever, because he threw in the towel. He's been kind of that like divider between Sabin and Shelley. And maybe that's what would push Sabin over the line to go heel with Shelley and give us the return of the Motor City Machine Guns, like trying to make that run. Like something like that I wouldn't hate.
I wouldn't hate that either.
And how can you not like be mad at Shelley and Sabin if they like turn on Kushida and jump him because he's just such a like fun guy.
Oh my god, it would be like kicking a puppy.
Yeah.
I mean, truly.
That is how you get true heat. Seriously. I mean, I would be here for it. It would be the redemption of heel Motor City Machine Guns that, for some reason, when they went over and teamed up with Jay Lethal at the AEW pay-per-view for no apparent reason, that was the weirdest version of Motor City Machine Guns we got. I don't understand why that happened. But anyways. I love that the Time Machine, the fractions are fractures are there. It's gonna come to a head at some point, which is fantastic. Which then leads us into our next match: AJ Francis versus Joe Hendry. AJ, okay, let's talk, boy. So, listen, I know you're a tall dude and you're a big boy, and as two of the three hosts on this panel are also resident big boys, so we understand how it feels. However, sir, if you're going to wear wrestling shorts as ring gear, you cannot have them designed to be a way where it looks like, as coined by Andrew before we started recording, you cannot look like you've been skipping leg day. Because, no, that is not okay.
Because he's wearing the tights. Don't wear the tights, dude.
Yeah.
I was like, wear regular basketball shorts.
Or if that's the case, then wear the pants, the wrestling pants. But don't, it was weird. It looked like he literally like chicken legs.
Yeah. The whole thing, his whole gear, like, I mean, that's part of it. You're not supposed to like him, so maybe just like the, the money print and all that stuff is just supposed to turn you off. But
I don't just dislike you, I dislike your whole outfit.
Yeah. And my reaction when at the beginning of this, when he attacks Joe Hendry from behind, like as he's doing his full intro, I was just like, how dare you, sir?
I know.
How dare you?
I know. Like full British accent. How dare. I was like, you lose. Good days.
Do not interrupt.
It's like, how dare you ruin this magical moment? But look, we all knew what this was going to be. We know AJ Francis is not necessarily the best in the wrestling game. I mean, to be fair, I still think he needs a lot of improvement, but I'm also the camp that Michael Cole buried this man so far down the card, it wasn't even funny. Like, I like Michael Cole in WWE, but like the way he just ragged on Top Dollar as what AJ Francis was known as in WWE was a little excessive.
I will say I think they did a good job of trying to make Francis seem like a giant. Like the fact that, I mean, Joe Hendry is a big man, and the fact that physically you can tell the size difference, but then watching him struggle to like get Hendry or get Francis down or like pick him up for a slam. You know, Hendry goes for that stalling suplex and he couldn't even get him suplexed. So I see what they were going for to make him seem like this, you know, indomitable force for Hendry to have to deal with. So I am hopeful to see where they go with this, because I feel like Hendry can help carry Francis in the areas where he needs it. My biggest gripe with this match was, can we please stop with the dumb comments of "this ain't ballet"? Because we got another one of those in this match, and I'm like, dude, I'm sorry, but none of these people would make it through like 1 day of ballet classes, let alone performances. Like,
no way.
So let's stop with the, like, that comparison.
Maybe Joe Hendry, but like, I don't know.
Even then, the flexibility, strength, stamina, and the damage it does to your body. Like, I'm not saying wrestling doesn't, but don't pretend like it's some like gentle art, because
go Google dancers' feet. Google ballet, especially ballet dancers' feet.
Yeah. Do that. Just to forewarn you, though, if you are going to look at it, you cannot type into the comments and complain that you can't unsee what you see. Yeah. We're forewarning you. It is bad, but look at it at your own risk. It's been brought to you by the Takedown Troop.
The more you know.
So the match is in itself. It was what it was. You know. But let's talk about the real moment that we all need to. Rich Swan. What? No, I'm just kidding. No, but for real. Huh? I was like, we talked about Rich Swan turning on Joe Hendry at some point, but I'm a little confused, because it would have made more sense had Joe and Rich lost their match, you know, against AJ and Diener, and then Rich is going to come out to save and then beats up Joe Hendry, be like, you lost, like, we lost. I'm tired of being a loser, so I'm going to join the winning side.
Yeah.
But you won your match, and then you turn on Joe. What?
I don't get what the hell this is. I don't get it.
I mean, I'm not mad at Rich Swan turning. Like, I think that's an interesting dynamic, which is nice, because since being in TNA, Rich Swan has been nothing but a face. So I'm interested to see where his heel work goes.
I just thought
it was just really weird that we're turning him here. I was like, but y'all won your match. Okay, I guess it's fine.
Something that we did learn in this, though, is that I don't care. Rick Swan is not a t-shirt tearing kind of guy.
No. No.
I was like, no. I was like, no, Rick, no.
The thing that, like, I hope they do is maybe we see, or they talk about, in between all of that stuff, AJ Francis convinced Rich Swan, whether it was like money or opportunities or whatever the case may be, that, like, you know, we see them talking about that kind of a thing. You know, basically he made him an offer he couldn't refuse, and so this was the payoff. So I hope we get a retroactive reason for this, since we didn't get it before.
I hope so too.
Yeah, because this switch made no sense. This made no sense. So I hope you're right. I hope so. I hope we get some sort of explanation. It's like, all right, you know what? If we get an explanation, I'll be on board with it, because I was just like, y'all won your match in the in-ring, like the. No, but if it has to be a legitimate, though. It has to be legitimate, not just like, oh shoot, we didn't think of that. Here, let's just create something real quick, and it's like, no. So that's what I'm waiting for. It's got to be a legitimate reason for that switch. and not
Also-
just because.
Yeah. Also, random thing: Rich Swan is not a hat person either.
No, he really isn't. Oh my god.
Look, some people can wear hats. Take Andrew for example. You know, if you've seen him in other reviews, he rocks the hat very well. But some people can't. Rich Swan is one of those people.
I can wear hats.
Rich Swan is a Flash Funk style, gear wearing kind of guy.
Yeah, I love it.
Like a headband. He's a headband guy.
Honestly, I'd be here for that, but I hope we get an explanation. I am excited to see this new dynamic for Rich, and if it means that more Joe Hendry is on my television screen, I am never going to complain. And I'm happy that we're finally having Joe Hendry in a storyline.
Yes.
It seems like after Hard to Kill, we're slowly building to this, but I felt like we were missing pieces, and now we're putting the pieces slowly into place.
And Joe Hendry gets more and more handsome every time I see him.
I feel like he had more chest hair than he
Yes.
had recently.
Yes, that's why I was like, ooh. Hello, Joe.
That has been the Hotness Corner with Will.
Yep.
Ding. My goodness. Okay, we got to talk about probably, even though this is so cringe, I love this so much. We get the next installment of the sound check, but before we get into the actual episode itself, I gotta love that Alan Angels is wearing a neck
brace.
So funny, so good. And even before the episode begins, we have Ash by Elegance come in with her Chevalier, and they're like, "This place is dirty. What are we doing here? You lied to us."
So you can bleep me for this one, but I love that his.
I don't bleep people here.
I love that his comment was, because they bleeped it out, was, "This isn't the Ritz, it's the shits."
Yeah. These little segments are so bad, they're so good. Well, every time I see one.
This week there were literally like, he's like checking himself in the camera, and then like as the segment's going on, there's like people working backstage, like crossing through, being in the background, and it's like Alan Angels thinks this is like an actual show, an actual segment, but nobody else working in TNA really knows or thinks it. So he's like the little kid pretending, and everyone else is like, "Yeah, whatever, dude, that's fine. Just let us work.
We got shit to do."
Yeah.
Oh my god.
And what I loved about this too is like Alan Angels is like, "What's your big announcement?" And Ash by Elegance is like, "I will have my third match." I'm just gonna be just as dramatic like that. I want her to start like doing her announcements like this, kind of like a la Jim Carrey style. It's like, "Well, excuse me for." I love Ash by Elegance. I love this whole entire thing we got going on. She's gonna be in action next week, and Alan Angels finished this segment off perfectly, because as soon as they leave, she's like, "Oh my gosh, you guys, she touched me." It's like this is the best day of my life as we see people like getting the set ready. Alan,
he was fanboying over her like hardcore.
Oh, I know, it was great.
It was fantastic. I mean, we wanted to see more from Alan Angels. I think he has found his shtick, and I'm here for it, as cringy and corny as it is. I think it's the best kind of cringe and corniness.
But this is what I'm telling you. This is what wrestling is. It's this showmanship, It's as stupid as it may be. It just adds to it, Because and we know these little segments are the stupidest things ever. But that's what makes them so good.
And there's so many people that would be entertaining on here, like Joe Hendry showing up on this.
Yeah.
Like, once they figure out, like, really solidify what they're doing with Dango and his crew, like their ridiculousness on this show. Just some of the people that they could get on here that are the characters throughout TNA it's just such an entertaining combo.
Low key, like, I'm hoping that Soundcheck continues the thing. I want him to have the most absurd characters. I want PCO to have Abaddon moment where it's just full like nonsensical stuff, And then when a certain question about important topics comes up for Alan Angels, PCO becomes like, well, I actually believe, and like have a whole
Pulls
so
out
if you don't know,
glasses.
pulls out the glass. So if
Actually,
anyone is not aware, RJ City, who is a backstage correspondent in AEW, not to talk about another promotion, but I actually like this part of it. He interviews the wrestlers on the AEW roster from time to time. And one particular episode a couple months ago, he had the Living Dead girl themselves, Abaddon, who, if you know anything about Abaddon's character, they don't speak at all. It's just like literally zombie. But then RJ City asked the important question. It's just like, you are known as the Living Dead girl, but you go by they, them pronouns. Like, how does gender identity and wrestling kind of intersect? And then she puts on the glasses and literally has an educated response. And I was like, it was so fantastic. I want PCO to have that one.
Yeah.
But I'm also thinking like Alan Angels riffing off the Crazy Steve. But more importantly, the number one I want, if we're going to get full blown crazy, I want Soundcheck with Decay. Especially Rosemary.
Yeah.
Especially Rosemary.
Yes. Oh
So
my God,
good.
yes.
It's so good. I love Soundcheck. I'm hoping we keep it. I hope that Alan Angels takes it further every single time because this is fantastic. From here, we get our second squash match of the evening. We have Spitfire, your new Knockouts tag team champs from Sacrifice. So Danny Luna and Jody Threat, Spitfire, taking on local talent B Moss and Vanna Black, which Andrew has dubbed them as Black Moss as their tag team name. It's fantastic. But before the match even begins, first MK Ultra comes out in red lighting and they're watching. And then I get deprived of the chorus of Decay, but Decay is also coming out too. And I was like, yep, we're in a triple threat at Rebellion, and I am okay with this because both these teams are watching. This was what it was. It was a squash match to get Spitfire over. They win the match, and the opposing teams are looking on. I was like, I know we talked about during our Sacrifice review that we're hoping we're getting some depth with this. And I feel like I'm being a hypocrite because, you know, we gave some good thoughts and we wanted, you know, better for the Knockouts tag team division. We want depth. But then here I am really excited about the three teams, the only three teams we have in the Knockouts division going into a triple threat. What I'm hoping is that after said triple threat, if we're slowly going to be putting more teams into it after Rebellion, I'd be here for it. But I'm a hypocrite, you guys. I complained, but then I'm also really excited.
Well, this is very much like what we got on Explosion with GYV facing the Green Mile. I'm okay if they're gonna bring in some jobber teams or things like that, because for a while it's all right to see some of that stuff, because again, it's gonna give teams like Spitfire, who haven't been around as a team that long, a chance to build up their resume outside of the other teams, and it gives us a break from seeing those three teams wrestle each other in some variation, which they're all phenomenal, and I love watching them wrestle each other. But it also gives us time to build up that tag team division.
Yeah.
So I was okay with this happening because, you know, it helped with this new team. It wasn't like it was a title match. It kept the story going by having the other two tag teams show up. And I love that Spitfire showed off their new finisher, which I think I saw on social media. They call it like the pressure drop or something, where it's like a burning hammer into like a spinebuster bomb or something. It was a cool little combination, which you could see them talking about setting it up when they were in the ring. So clearly they came up with it together and have been working on it, which I feel like those are the steps you need to take. You need to have the gear that goes together, the entrance package, team name, and you need to have a team finisher. So like they've finally put it all together, and yeah, I love Spitfire. I'm a huge Danny Luna fan, so seeing the two of them together, they're different enough from the other tag teams that make them interesting and stand out between the two of them, but similar enough, the fact that like seeing a triple threat between these three teams is gonna be crazy because they're gonna beat the crap out of each other, and I will love it. Danny Luna against Havoc, like, come on.
Listen, we talk about big boys having matches. Let's
Yeah.
get the big girls. The
Big
thick
beefy
girls.
girls.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Oof.
I'm looking forward. I hope I'm right and we get a triple threat at Rebellion, but it's going to be fantastic. So then we weirdly cut to, like, after we come back from commercial, we weirdly cut to Matthew Raywald and Tom Hannafan just talking, and then they get interrupted by a full Kanye moment. It's just like Tasha Steelz be like, I'm gonna let y'all finish, but Beyonce had no kidding. But Tasha gets on the microphone and she literally answered the question that we all had after Sacrifice. She's like, guys, I did not lose that match because I did not get pinned. So I'm here to call out Jordynne Grace. Jordan, if you say you're the girl you are, you're going to come fight me. And then we get confirmation, like not even 10 seconds later, that there's going to be a Knockouts Championship match next week on TNA. And is going to be Jordynne Grace defending her title against Tasha Steelz one-on-one. I'm super excited for. Look, I love Tasha. That triple threat was, was hit and miss for some of it. I gave it kudos for all three of those women trying something different with combo moves. But I am super happy to see the Boricua Badass go one-on-one with the Juggernaut herself. And we are revisiting old history too, because Jordynne technically won the title off of Tasha in the Queen of the Mountain match back at Slammiversary 2 years ago. So technically, Jordynne has never truly beat Tasha like this before. So I'm excited to see this match next week.
And that's 2 titles on the line next week.
Yep.
That's cool. Next week's episode could be stacked.
It's going to be great. We're getting the Digital Media Championship and we're getting the Knockouts Championship. Take notes of the promotion. You can have your titles be defended on television and not just pay-per-views.
And
Andrew's like, I wonder who they can be talking about. It's fantastic. So we get our bumpers for next week. GYV is taking on Time Splitters, so Alex Shelley and Kushida, which is fantastic. We're getting our Digital Media Championship, Crazy Steve versus PCO, which I'm all here for. It's going to be fantastic. And Ash by Elegance is going to be in action next week in her 3rd match. I'm hoping that we are building towards a match against her and Zaya Brookside, which would be fantastic. And then we get confirmation here that it's also going to be Jordynne versus Tasha for the Knockouts Championship next week. So with those 4 things alone, I'm actually really excited for next week. And that's not without what hasn't been announced yet, which is going to be great. Then we get into our main event of the evening. We have a 6-man tag. So we have the Rascals and Steve Macklin versus Speedball Mountain and the wanted man himself, Nick Nemeth. I always get a chuckle every time Nick Nemeth's music hits, and then you just hear the, oh my gosh. From whoever recorded that line, I was like, oh, this is so cringe, but I'm here for it. I gotta say, I really enjoyed this match. This is actually fantastic. And this was a nice kind of final chapter in this saga that we've gotten with Nick Nemeth, Steve storyline, as well as Rascals and Speedball Mountain. Again, I say this every single time, and I'm going to continue to say it. Trey Miguel may have just caved himself in the chest multiple times because Trent Seven and those chops, man. Oh my gosh. I'm like, Trey just died. I saw his soul leave 3 different times in this match. Holy crap, those chops, man.
Yeah, let's see Trent and Sean Spears just have a chop off against each other.
Throw Gunther in the mix too.
Yeah, oh yeah, that's just true. Yeah, this match was a lot of action. There were times when I felt like the only way I could describe this was like a Thanksgiving dinner plate, where there was just like so much that I was just like, I don't know what to focus on. Like it's so much good stuff, but I don't know where to look next. But like a lot of the segments, especially when they were building to the end, was really good. And yeah, like I said, when they did their promo, these 3 together, the Nick Nemeth and Speedball Mountain, they're so entertaining, and they bring so many different things to the matches themselves that you just can't help but be entertained.
Will's like,
agreed. Yep. I mean, absolutely. I mean, I literally have nothing else to add to it, really.
That's very fair. I thought this was a fun, fantastic match. Then, of course, towards the end of this, Steve Macklin accidentally hits Trey Miguel. Zach didn't him get into it. And Steve Macklin's like, stop being a baby about it. And Zach's like, you know what? We're out of here. And him and Trey leave Steve Macklin by himself. So I was like, well, there's the dissolvement of this partnership, which allows Nick Nemeth and Speedball Mountain to pick up the win here. So happy that these boys have come out on top and have overall won this feud. But this celebration doesn't last too long, because what happens next, gentlemen? The system attacks. So Moose, Brian Myers, and Eddie Edwards come out and they lay out Speedball Mountain and Nick Nemeth, and they're all standing over our three faces with the championships being held over their heads as TNA goes off the air this week. But oh no, we're not done, because the following day on social media after the episodes air, we get confirmation on the social medias that per Santino and the results of what ended up happening have transpired the following evening, we have 2 matches set for Rebellion. So first, we are going to have the System defend their TNA World Tag Team Championships against Speedball Mountain. And I was already salivating when I saw that placard. I'm like, oh god, this match is going to be good. So I was just like, yes, gimme, because these 4 in the ring, I'm like, gimme. But then I bursted at the seams and salivated even more, because we have a TNA World Championship match. Moose will be defending his title against the wanted man himself, Nick Nemeth. And I literally was crying of joy and being a little giddy kid. I was like, yee! I really hope that the next couple of weeks we have a nice build between these individuals for both of these matches, because I don't want a repeat of the Bound for Glory build that we have, when it was very lackluster and then the pay-per-view ended up being knocked out of the park upon multiple times. So here's hoping that this build is actually pretty decent. But boys, I'm really excited about these 2 matches that we're getting.
Yeah. They should be some awesome matches, and I feel like this could be Nemeth's chance to pick up that world title. I hope that whatever happens, if the System lose any of their titles, we don't see a quick dissolve of that faction. I hope we keep them together at least for the year, because I think they really bring something to TNA. And if Nemeth doesn't win, I hope we get to see him wrestle in a rematch for it eventually, maybe the next pay-per-view or whatever. But these should be some awesome matches, and that tag match should be fire.
Oh yeah, I agree. I think these matches are going to be amazing. At least I hope. I'm in my soul, I'm like, these matches are going to be amazing. So, but I guess we'll have to wait and see.
I'm excited, because now that we're coming up to another tentpole for TNA, I'm just excited for the 3 of us to get together to watch it live together, because oh man, Hard to Kill brought so much joy to me when we got to watch it together, which was super fantastic. But boys, this brings us to the end of this week's TNA episode, so let's give our final ratings. I am going to eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Will, you're going to go first. So what do you rate this week's TNA?
Actually, I thought this was a pretty good episode, actually. I really enjoyed it. So, I mean, I ranked it pretty decently, I think. I would say about a 7.5. I thought all the matches were pretty good. Even the squash matches weren't bad. They were pretty good for what they were. But I thought overall it was pretty good. So I gave it a 7.5.
Yeah, I gave it an 8. I thought it was a good Fallout show from Sacrifice. There were a couple of squash matches in there, which I would have liked to have seen a little more developed, but I get what they were there for. We're clearly building storylines, which is a great thing for TNA, because, going into the new year, and kind of coming out of it, there was a lot of like really good cards, but not much build up. So it's nice to see them doing these long-term storytelling. And the matches that weren't squash matches were really good quality matches. The most interesting thing for me was this night left me really excited for what we're going to get next week, more so than I felt like I was excited about this card after watching it. And I think that's a testament to what they're giving us next week for a weekly show. Because overall, I mean, I had a couple of really high ranked matches in here. So yeah, I thought it was a really good, solid, fallout.
I am going to give this, I'm going to be weird. I'm going to go in the middle between you two. I'm going to sandwich this. And I am going to give this a 7.8. I thought this was a really strong card. There are some bits and pieces that I already said during your critique of things. But overall, I thought the matches outside of the two squatches that we got, I think, were fantastic. And the sound check also, in a weird way, pushed it over a couple points more because of just how weird and crazy the concept is. But I love me camp in wrestling, and this is a fantastic thing. And I'm really excited for next week's episode. I was like, if this is what we're getting every single week leading into Rebellion, you can call me hook, line, and sinker. Because, like, oh my gosh, if this is the quality you're going to give us into Rebellion, I was just like, I don't know, man. Looking at the 6 pay-per-views that got to get covered in April, I may or may not think that Rebellion might be my favorite so far in terms of build, but that's neither here nor there. April's going to be a busy month for us, but I give it a 7.8. Boys, did it. Unfortunately, we got to say goodbye for this week. It's okay. We will be back next week to cover what's hopefully a great episode of TNA, because I'm excited with what we were told and what we were getting just in the 4 matches that were already advertised. That's not counting all the extra things we're going to get next week. It's fantastic. But me, Will, and Andrew got to get up on out of here because we are tired. But thank you for tuning in to another Takedown Troop review. From myself, Will, and Andrew, and the rest of the Bi-Conics boys, remember, take care of yourself, love one another, stay Bi-Conic, and remember, you deserve to finish your story. So, until the next review, we'll see you then. But until then, ta-ta for now.
Thank you so much for tuning in to another Vibe Tribe production. What's going to happen next time? Well, you're going to have to tune in to find out. But until then, remember, take care of yourself, love one another, and as always, make sure that you keep the good times rolling. Thank you for being here, and we'll see you next time.